There's a shot it ends this pandemic, and as the COVID vaccines roll out, some wonder if these drugs may soon be required in some settings. So let's verify. Can companies mandate that employees get a COVID vaccine? And what about public schools or states? Our sources, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and 4 medical law experts.
Now, we need to think of this in 2 phases. First, what's allowed under emergency use authorization, which the FDA has now approved. And then the rules for licensed vaccines, which these won't be for months.
Under emergency use, the current status, our experts don't agree on whether or not mandates are allowed.
I'm going to say no.
Dr. Arthur Kaplan says right now these are basically experimental drugs, and no mandate would hold up in court. Professor Peter Myers points to the FDA's emergency use rules, which say recipients, quote, have the option to accept or refuse the vaccine.
How can you plausibly argue that an individual can be required to get it?
But Professor Dory Rice says the FDA doesn't specify that companies can't have consequences for employees who refuse a vaccine.
That's an area where the law is unclear.
The EEOC agrees, telling me employers can mandate these unlicensed vaccines as long as they comply with federal laws. So for now, this is a gray area. As for fully licensed vaccines, which the FDA could make these later this year, there are established precedents.
Businesses and states at that point can mandate this.
For 99% of the U.S. population, if they want to, they can mandate it.
School children, healthcare workers, teachers are all required to be vaccinated.
Aaron Goldstein is a labor and employment attorney.
And there's no legal problem with that, with exceptions for individuals with either disabilities or with religious beliefs.
The EEOC has issued guidance that employers can require COVID vaccines and can make employees show proof they got one. The 2 exceptions: people with medical issues or religious objections.
And a reasonable accommodation might be, make them work in a separate area, mandate a mask.
The guidance says if those exempt people can't be safely accommodated, the employer can keep them out of the workplace, but they can't automatically fire them because other rights might apply. In other words, it's complicated and case by case.
Will you get a religious exemption if you work in a hospital? I doubt it.
Could somebody with an exemption still get into, let's say, a football game if it's required that people have vaccines?
And I think if you were trying to enter a sports event, concert, entertainment thing, I suspect most of them are going to say, no, we're not taking any exemptions.
Even states can mandate vaccines. It dates back to a 1905 Supreme Court case, Jacobson versus Massachusetts, where the court ruled that the state of Massachusetts could require everyone to get vaccinated against smallpox unless they have a medical reason. And in 2019, New York passed a state law ending religious exemptions for vaccinating school children after a measles outbreak. So we can verify, yes, once they're licensed, businesses, schools, and states can mandate COVID vaccines. Whether or not they will, even the experts don't know.
Do you foresee legal fights related to mandates over the next year or 2?
I think there could be a lot of suits, but my guess would be that they're going to fizzle out pretty quickly and that the biggest fights are going to be at the political level.
With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.